So.
Oh, sorry. No. Hey, welcome to stormingo.net, a new way of watching online TV. I hope you've been enjoying all the segments. We have a great opportunity to speak this evening with Councilwoman HANIFA SHABAZZ, who I consider a friend and a colleague and a person who I feel has a bright future in politics or business, whichever she want to go. How you doing, Councilwoman?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to come on.
Welcome to the show. First of all, let's just go right at it.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get here?
Well, first I'd like to say I'm a proud grandmother of 5 beautiful grandchildren and 2 lovely daughters and a son-in-law. That's who Hanifa is. I got here in the public service position because I've always been active in trying to do things in the community through my businesses, through the festival, the bookstore. At that time, I felt that we was doing public service at that time.
Tell me a little bit about that. You said a bookstore and a newspaper.
We had the books. We had the Hanif's bookstore. My ex-husband and I had Hanif's bookstore in Mossy Art Gallery. At the same time, we was publishing the Drumbeat newspaper. I was publisher and a co-partner, Allison Russell Travis.
I remember that. I remember that
the Drumbeat.
Tell me a little bit about that because I thought that was instrumental in our community.
Well,
the paper's missing.
Honestly, it started because we worked together. A group of us got together to do the first African Festival conference with Harmon Carey. And the 5 sisters worked so well together, we realized trying to market that and getting our story out, we didn't have a vehicle. So we started doing collective things together, and then it kind of dwindled down to just the 2 of us, Alice and I, to do the Drumbeat newspaper. And we continued. We did Drumbeat for 8 years.
Oh, was that long?
It was 8 years. It started off at a bi-monthly, 6,000 copies, to a monthly of 20,000 copies, distributed free to the community. We published news that the other mediums would not cover. The positive things. The elderly woman had to sweep the sidewalk. The young girl who passed and won the spelling bee. You know, we allowed, I remember the Twin Poets, that's how I got to know them. We allowed them they published some of their information. And we had an article from Behind the Wall. We spoke to the brothers in prison. They could write to us also. So it was an educational, informational, marketing tool for our community.
I'm going to ask you a lot of different stuff, right?
Okay.
So people could get a chance to know you, and even myself. You were in corporate too.
Yes.
What did you do in your corporate life?
I was a licensed custom house broker. I did international regulations for ICI or AstraZeneca. I was the one who handled all of the imported and exported products. I cleared all their products to customs and had them distributed across the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating in itself.
Yeah, I was international trade.
International trade. Excuse me. You Muslim?
Yes.
HANIFA SHABAZZ.
Yes.
How did you become a Muslim?
Well, I took on a lifestyle when I learned more about it through, you know, the studying the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it answered a lot of questions because I practiced Christianity, was in the church and the choir, all those things. But I read the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's writings and teachings, and it answered the questions that other things couldn't answer for me. So I took on the lifestyle.
Do you find that a detriment, especially in your political, you know, HANIFA SHABAZZ, you know what I mean, rather than the traditional?
It has not been a detriment at all.
Because you're flourishing.
It has not been a detriment, I think, because I am HANIFA SHABAZZ.
Wow.
I am who I am.
I mean, that sounds so profound.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't just talk it. I try to walk it. It's not a religion. It's my lifestyle. Okay.
You know, and I don't want to get too in that, but you know, when I see the young girls with the veils on, right? I always think it's like a fad. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to print a whole blanket.
Right.
You know.
Well, I tried to go under, and I know that is part of this. You know, I might not follow exactly to the T, the exact teachings, and I tried to go under, but it just was not me. So I had to be comfortable with it. But
so you can do it or
I can do it or not. I know when to do it. I know not to do it. I know, but it's to me, it's practicing the laws. It's living the law, and in my living freedom, justice, and equality, telling the truth as much as possible. Is you know, if it means my life, it's trying to eat healthy. It's living off the history of and the actual facts of what is real and what's not real. So those type of things and practices I try to incorporate in my lifestyle to keep me as close as I can in favor of Allah.
And you and I are going to talk about a lot of different stuff, or just a few different things. So we deal with corporate, right? We deal with religion. Politics, city council. Why did you want to become a politician?
Well, Stephanie Bolden came after me the term before I actually came in and decided to do it, and just planted the seed in me.
And she wanted you to run against me. So
Oh, is that what, oh no, I didn't know that. No, what she wanted me to go at large.
I'm joking.
She wanted me to go at large, you know. But even if I did, I would have beat you. But it's okay.
I'm glad we got that on camera.
But then I was in a neighborhood, and there was some children walking down the street, 8 or 9 children walking down the street, and they were 2 white boys, 14 and 16 years old. And I was like, well, it's Sunday, it's not camp, what's going on? So I went and approached the young people and asked them what was happening. And they said they were from a church coming to gather up some children because they were giving away free food and free clothing around the corner of the park. I said, well, where's your identification? You know, and how do we as a community allow our children just freely walk away for free hot dogs and clothing? So they really got me upset. And so Winston Truitt, God bless his soul, came to me and asked what was going on. I told him, he said, and I said, I'm going to Civic Association. We have got to protect our children better. And Winston encouraged me to run for office because the seat was open. You were not, you're not coming back. And so, I was going through a change and transition in my life as well, and I saw it as an opportunity that I could do something that is passionate to me, and that's to be the voice for the underdog. I've always been that way, and speak for the voices. And this was an opportunity, and I've been successful for 3 terms.
You know, you and I were talking off camera a little bit about domestic violence, and I don't know if you want to talk about.
Oh, that's fine with me.
But you know what's happening in the NFL with the guy who got the domestic violence for the Baltimore Ravens. And you said that happened. I don't know if it's similar or something like that.
Well, I too was a victim of domestic violence in my first marriage. Yes, I was. And in fact, we broke the silence at the Delaware domestic violence event they had at Lavish a couple weekends ago. And I think that others should know that they're not alone in this, and that you can overcome it, and that you can keep on striving. You know, so some of the ills that's happening in our society, everybody has experienced.
So when you in it, you don't realize it. I mean, that's what they pretty much. That's the message.
It is. It's not that you don't realize. You know that you're being.
But you don't
violated.
know if you can leave.
But you don't have the courage. You don't have the wherewithal. You don't know what to do. I had 2 small children. I was pregnant. You know, how did I do this? So I just sat and actually come up with a plan of action. I had to really get strong in myself.
Wow.
You know, to say that I can do this alone. You know, because a lot of times you think that you can't. You can't survive without the income. You need the support. You don't want to be alone. All those things. All those things go into your mind. So if you don't have that self-esteem and that willpower to move forward to want something better, and some women do suffer from that. So, but I wanted something better.
Can you imagine how many women who are watching this right now that are going through that?
Oh, I'm quite sure.
And that's why I said I wanted to.
Especially our young girls. Oh, our young girls, you know, I know that they're experiencing it, and they don't know another way because they're yearning for love and affection. So they feel that he really is upset with me because he cares for me so much. No, if he cares for you, he would not put his hands on you. He would provide for you. So, you know, I walked away from, a beautiful home, just furnished. I walked away from all of that. I would like to walk away with me and my children and our clothes.
You know, I've known you for a long time. This is the first time I've ever heard that story.
Oh, well, I like you said, the whole thing with domestic violence celebration a couple weekends ago, we was breaking the silence. Others need to know that people might see me in a light of, wow, I got it going on, but I too went through that thing, and that if I went through it and still can be able to progress and be successful in, you know, where I am now, and I call myself somewhat successful, then they too can do it. So I love to be an example for it.
Wow. Your future's, right? What is your future plans?
I want to continue in public service. I would love to move on in higher office, you know, and so I'm just building that foundation that's necessary to be able to move on, and whatever Allah has in store for me, He will steer me in the right direction.
I've heard you think about mayor, city council president,
Congresswoman,
Congress, or statewide. But you know,
sky's the limit.
And sky's the limit. How is it difficult being a female, especially a minority black female in the political arena?
It is. It is, because sometimes
What's some of the challenges?
Sometimes I've been in the meetings, and I could say something, and it goes over everybody's head, and then the male repeat exactly what I said, and everybody hears and responds. I say, well, didn't I just say that? But I understand that it's the male's world, and I've been in that field all my life. Even the field of international trade was all men.
But it seems like some of your teachings makes your transition a little bit easier.
It does.
Some of the stuff that you've been talking about.
Well, it does. I'm able to understand what my role is as a woman, and understand what the man's role is as a man, and understanding where there's a saying that the man that he would not submit to a woman. Okay, it's just his nature. He would not submit. So how do you get them to do what you want? So you have to understand, how do you get done what you want to get done? And a woman has a way of getting men to do what they need them to do, especially when it comes time to taking care of the children.
Okay. Who was the biggest influence in your life?
Oh, wow. I have many, many role models. I have to pay homage to the teachers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because it answered some questions about life that I've had since a little girl. And that gave me a very strong foundation on understanding who I am, what my role is, how to accomplish and to get what I want to get done. It made me become a scientist to be able to calculate the time, the moment, and the rate of speed to do what I needed to do to be successful. So he's very much an influence on me by providing me with the actual facts of life. My father, as an entrepreneur, he had many businesses, and I was always the one that was right there with him, helping count the money when he comes back, getting supplies. And my mother, my mother's a little lady, but she's very, very powerful. She says what she says. She is who she is. And if I can just live half the way she has, and she's 87. Wow. So from looking at that, I have a whole nother life in front of me, from where I am now to just to live to be where she is. So my parents are very much, and then I've had a whole host of sisters and my brother who, we were a very, very close family. And I'm blessed to still have all of my siblings with me. So my family is very, very important to me.
I got to ask you this one last question before I let you go. Crime in our neighborhoods, right? And just listening to your story and everything that you're doing so right, does it frustrate you that we just can't figure it out?
It just hurts because a lot of those children I know. I'm right here homegrown. A lot of the children I know, and several have affected my family.
Right.
Okay, they've been family members. So it really does hurt me to know, but I also know that it's not our nature, that it's an outside influence, that it's not something that we as a people do naturally. We're very loving people.
What do you mean by outside influence?
Well, the current mental state of our community is been predicated because of the education that we've had. We know we got an issue with education in the city of Wilmington for the past 35 years. Access to resources, some of the criminal justice law that's in place, and the fact that we do not manufacture any of the drugs or the guns that come to the neighborhood. Somebody is bringing that in and encouraging that. Someone is stopping the opportunities for our people and our men to be able to be contributors to society. Now, we also play a big role in that as well because we have to come together as a people, okay, pool our resources, and understand our value to society and use it in a manner, and then speak up, ask. 'Cause a lot of times we have not because we ask not. And that's politically, that's socially, in other ways, that we just not have asked for what make demands, but yet we give everything so freely away. We had that conversation a little earlier. So we have to, we're dependent upon others to do something for us and not do something for ourselves. And I think that's the only solution we're going to have to turn inward. The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked, what does the Muslim want? And the Muslim, he asked for us to be able to separate because of the condition that we're in, that we separate for a period of time so that we can turn internally and heal our own situation. And then once we've done that with no taxation, that we could then heal our community and come back and then be able to go into the marketplace equally with everyone else. Remember, the Nation of Islam was a very strong economic engine. It owned its own educational system, housing, clothing, farms, fish, the newspaper. We was a nation among ourselves, self-sufficient. We can do that again. The African American community is the 9th richest nation in spending, but zero in manufacturing.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I, and thank you, Councilwoman.
It's my pleasure.
Shabazz.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for coming on. Well, I think you banged this. That was a good interview.
Oh, it was. I enjoyed it.
I never seen you talk so much.
Oh, because you usually talking all the time.
That's right. All right. Thank you very much. That was good. That's beautiful.
Thank you.